How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews, back to yet another review. A little bit of American-born Russian Imperial Stout time. In the form of Licking Hole Creek's Virginia Black Bear. Yeah, I've done a couple Licking Hole Creek beers on here, but it's been a while. This one comes courtesy of my man, Sean. Thank you very much, brother. He sent off a bunch of beers, a couple Licking Hole Creeks, and really curious about this. Why? Because I love Russian Imperial Stouts. With an asterisk. I'm very, very particular about my Russian Imperial Stouts. I like them to be very traditional. I like them to be somewhere between your Courage Russian Imperial Stout, your OG status, OG original, like literally original Russian Imperial Stout, then your Black Alberts of the world. It's a bit more of a beefed up, over the top, huge take on it. But what they have is there's a hefty amount of bitterness in all Russian Imperial Stouts. I mean, if you look at a lot of the what is it, that thing that people think matters but doesn't really. What's the thing again? The amount of hops that are in a beer. Wow, I'm spacing on it. Anyway, if you look at that number, IBUs is what I'm talking about. There's usually like 100 plus IBUs in a Russian Imperial Stout, but while it's more of a balancing agent, you know, where Black Albert is a perfect example. That beer has like 100 and some odd IBUs, but you really don't get much bittering off of it whatsoever. And that's why it's kind of a joke, IBUs. It doesn't dictate bitterness. Anyway, get off my soapbox. And so I really hold a lot of Russian Imperial Stouts to that kind of level of beers. And there's a great one out there that Young and whose is it? I have a bottle of it floating around somewhere around here. I forget where I put it though. There's some great Russian Imperial Stouts, but there's some Americanized ones that just really don't do it for me. Old Rasputin is number one. It's just way too bitter, way too hoppy. Even like Rasputin, or now it's called Cease and Desist, I think it is, from Demolin, can get a little bit too kind of bittering for me. So I'm kind of curious to see where this one lands. Let's dive into it. Virginia Black Bear, Russian Imperial Stout, Licking Hole Creek. Two-time gold medal winner at the Virginia Craft Beers Cup. Bold and aggressive. Best describes as assertive ale. 10 specialty grains comprise the backbone of the beer, and a high alpha American hops give the bear its teeth, or her teeth, I should say. Notes of dark chocolate and roasted coffee abound. Used as a base beer for their enlightened despot. The Virginia Black Bear has escaped to wander where she wants. Beware the bear. Done and done. I have always loved Licking Hole Creek's labels. I just dig them. I like the name. I like the labels. Everything about them is just awesome. So let's see what this sucker has. Yeah, I've had a couple of the despots in that series. Quite tasty beers. But I'm really interested to have the base. A lot of people kind of chase and covet a lot of variants and stuff like that, especially when it comes to big, huge stouts and things like that. But I really like, especially if I have a variant that's killer, I always want to go back to the base, because there's no way you can have a killer beer without having a killer base. So, you know, this kind of makes sense. Anyway, what do we have there? The darkness. I mean, rich, just about where I like my coffee to look like color-wise. You know, pretty uniform bubble stains, a couple of, like, big edge stragglers. And it's dark. It's motor oil, you know, in the most beautiful way possible. So, yeah. She's damn pretty, isn't she? So, she got a purty mouth. If beer had a mouth. Anyway, let's get a nose. Okay. I get what you're laying down there, Licking Hole Creek. Yeah, that's rich. That's nice. Yeah, there's a lot of levels in it. There's a nice big bittering component. I believe I'm getting a little bit from roasted malts, and I am getting a little bit from those hops. Chocolate. No shit, Sherlock. But there's this cool coffee component in it. And they didn't talk about putting any kind of coffee in there, but there's this multi-layered kind of, there's a little bit of like dark roast in there, a little bit of regular coffee in there, there's like a little bit of fleshy green coffee. It's like layers of coffee. There's no coffee in the beer, but I'm getting all this coffee. It's fantastic. Cap that off with a nice, soft, I would assume is flaked oak driven, creamy, almost vanilla likeness. I dig it. I like it. It smells like there's more in it than a Core 4 beer, but hey, I call it Core 4, or at least they're alluding to it. Let's dive in. Cheers. it's right. Okay, I talked about those. My personal line for Russian Imperial Stouts. I have my side, Courage Russian Imperial Stout, Black Albert, what I think Russian Imperial Stout should be. Then there's the other end of things. There's the Americanized version, your Russian Imperial Stouts, your old Rasputins, those of the world. This is towing that line, but just edging ever so slightly to that Americanized side. You have a nice rich sweetness to it. It's almost like drying kind of nice sweetness. It's a drying sweetness that makes you want to go back for more. And there's a bittering roasted component to it. It's really nice, but there's this added bitterness to it. And that's that edging over to the American side to where you're getting those aggressive kind of big old school bittering hops. That just end up, it's teetering it in that side. And it's kind of a bummer. Why is it a bummer? Well, it's not a bad beer. I actually like it. I think I'm very particular about my Russian Imperial Stouts. Like I said, but I'm very particular about them being to my taste. I know a lot of people love Old Rasputin. This doesn't go as far as that, but it's definitely kind of, like I said, leaning in that direction. The biggest bummer is this beer was like 5 years old. I think it would be absolute cash money. So I think all that bitterness would have dropped out. But it's still a well-made beer, a tasty beer. I've talked about that a couple times in some of my reviews, some of the random videos I posted about the difference between a well-made beer and a beer you love, and a bad beer and a badly made beer. This isn't a beer that I'm going to gush over, but this is a really well-made beer. And you just have to give... I know enough to tip my hat off to it. Be like, this is a really good beer. I like the Spot series, but then you're talking about barrel-aged this variant, that. A lot of that stuff is going to kick down a lot of that bitterness and kind of bring out more of what I wanted in it. So it kind of makes sense that I dig on those. Yeah, it's tasty. It's nice. It's well-constructed. The bitterness, there is a soft, dry kind of ashtray thing going on. It's not as bad as drinking out of an ashtray, but it's the best descriptor I have. That doesn't do it for me. It's probably the biggest overt negative. I don't think it's an off flavor. I don't think it's a negative to the beer. I just think it's the way some of that bittering comes off that this doesn't work for me, and that's probably my biggest gripe with it. But other than that, it's really nice. Mouthfeel's killer. I like the components of it. The nose is absolutely fantastic. Just how far that bittering goes. It's just not for me. And, yeah. But I want an age bottle. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, so yeah, let's talk about it. Is this one of the better Russian Imperial Stouts that I've had as late? I'm going to say yes, not no. I'm going to put it right on the line. You would thought I would take it out, but no, because it's just so well made that I just can't, I don't want to poop on it. It's just personal preference. This just doesn't line up for me. Value availability. Actually, we can get Licking Hole Creek stuff kind of close to me. I know in PA they get it. I don't know if this makes it out there, but it's hit the area, and I even yeah, I've heard it hitting places like overseas, even in the UK and stuff like that. So Rob from Hobsy, you can go check him out. He's got a great channel. He even talked about them getting Licking Hole Creek stuff over there. So yeah, so it can be found, and leave you with if you like what we like this. If you like, if you like Russian Imperial Stouts, you want them to err in the bittering side of things, but you don't want to go too far. That's pretty much exactly where it lands. It's a tasty beer. It's a well-made beer. I'll definitely not turn down a glass, especially if I found it on draft or something like that, or I found an aged bottle. Please find an aged bottle. I'm definitely going to revisit this beer. That's how much I dig its construction. Just where it kind of veers to in the RIS world is just kind of not where I think Russian Imperial Stout should be. But that's just me. What do I know? There you go. Another review in a box. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers. If you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive. If you want to check me out doing a whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a nice Licking Hole Creek right now. And hope to see you next time. Cheers.